It's a great place to start. And by Sharp Electronics Corporation, from sharp minds come sharp products. Don Criqui with John Brody and Bob Greasy at the Orange Bowl in Miami, set now for the start of the fourth quarter. Temperature 60 degrees. The wind gusting off the Atlantic. Hasn't seemed to be a factor so far, but it could be in the kicking game if we get down to a crucial field goal, with the Dolphins right now leading by 14 points, 27-13. There was no scoring in the third quarter.
Here's the key play. Bruce Laird just may try something cute. If they're going to put any penetration on a quarterback, there's a good chance it'll be number 30.
Second down and 7, right to the run, and Andrew Franklin goes for the tough yards into the heart of the San Diego defense. He's down to the 8. NBC statistician Steve Dans pointing out now that David Woodley, over his last 3 games, including today's, has completed 47 of 63 passes, 75% completion, 7 touchdowns, and just 1 interception.
Not too shabby.
I'd say he's on a roll.
Keep doing that for a few years, you head to Canton.
He's on a roll at the right time.
Shula said earlier, this is the time the good teams start to peak. This is normally the 11th game of a regular season. David Woodley takes it in himself. A 6-yard crack runner right up the middle for 4 and a touchdown.
I don't think there's any doubt that play had been looked at and looked at and looked at. You get a team that drops their linebackers deep, even down in goal line situations, you can always split the tackles. And when you can split the tackles, there's nowhere else to go. Nobody's in a position to make the play. Fox comes up from a safety position. That's just a good version of a quarterback draw. I know that was your favorite.
Well, you know, it's almost eerie as you look at it, because we've been talking about how Don Shula is on a roll and how he's calling the plays so very well. I can remember in years past calling the same play in the same area, and it's because of the coaching of Don Shula. He believes that this is a good area of the field to call a quarterback draw, and he's pulling all the stops out today.
We'll be back right after this. Cards in 8 plays. David Woodley on a 7-yard run for the touchdown, and now it's a 34-13 game. A bouncing kickoff gives James Brooks a lot of problems. Brooks heads back the other way and gets out to the 25-yard line. So Fouts and the Chargers, John, now with 3 touchdowns.
I tell you, Pardsy, it's getting time to either do it or get out of town, because with 14 minutes left in the fourth quarter, he had a whole quarter with good field position. They had 4 possessions. The defense really beat them.
21 points down with 14:08 to play. You can look for Eric Coryell to be going long distance. Bounce is looking deep, now throws it to a dump off, and Brooks out of the backfield gets out of bounds after getting a first down. He got ahead for a 12-yard gain. And
those little out-of-bounds jobs after you pick up 13 yards save about 30 seconds. So all good backs realize during this part of a game, if they're going to get back in it, they've got to save time from now on. Get out of bounds when you get what you can.
Ball's out to the 38-yard line of San Diego. Don Coryell's won at every level. 3 unbeaten seasons as a college coach at San Diego State. Playoff teams at St. Louis. Great teams at San Diego. First down carry, the ball is run out to the 44-yard line.
The way things have been going, Don, I saw a near collision between Chandler and Muncy, 2 of the best offensive players in the game. Muncy trying to get some help. Chandler trying to come back and help. Almost gets run over. Does, in fact.
See, Muncy's got some good numbers, 49 yards and 11 carries, but they need a lot more. Right back to Muncy, and he's ahead for a first down to the 50-yard line. Ernest Roan, a free agent linebacker who was Miami's leading tackler again this year, made the stop for the Dolphins.
You know, there's plenty of time. You know, what they did last week against Pittsburgh, obviously in 8 minutes they scored 2 touchdowns to win. There's over 13 minutes. They need 3 touchdowns. There's plenty of time for their offense. But what they need to do is stop the Dolphin offense. Shut them down from scoring and not let them hold the football.
12:55 to play. Here's Charlie Joyner taking a strike inside the 25-yard line, but a penalty marker's down at the line of scrimmage. Illegal motion against the Chargers negates the play.
And as it is so often when you see a guy get a little intense, trying to do something to help his team, a wide receiver jumps. It wasn't too hard to see, but they do miss the call sometimes.
Illegal motion, the right side of the offensive line.
Oh.
First down.
That's a nice safe statement.
Maybe they all move. So the ball is set back to the Chargers' 45-yard line. Don Masick down over the ball. 1st and 15. Chuck Muncie runs the ball, and very well after taking the pass. He's down to the 46-yard line. Got back to penalty yardage and 4 more.
It's just incredible, Don, how good Chuck Muncie is.
Well, all the coaches agree that he's one runner that can dominate a game when he's rolling, as he's been in the recent weeks. Right now, we pause briefly for station identification. This is the NBC television network.
KCST-TV, San Diego.
12 minutes and 13 seconds left to play. Penalty markers force the play dead. Whistles blow, with the Dolphins in the lead 34-13. And again, the preliminary signal against the Chargers. Those Jet coaches watching this game are about ready to start breaking out the Miami films.
I'm sure they've been looking at both sides already, 2 or 3 deep.
Ball starts, number 67, offense, 2nd down.
The Jets certainly remember this Orange Bowl, the site of their greatest victory back in January 1969 when they beat the Baltimore Colts in Super Bowl III. Don Shula remembers that. He was coach at Baltimore that day. On 2nd and 11, home run ball. Wes Chandler going up for it. Exciting, but a long out.
We've seen so many of these kind of situations all year long. Some of them are called, some of them are not. But the most dangerous man down the field, in my opinion, in this game right now, at least one of the top 5, has got to be Wes Chandler. He comes up with more balls than it looks like he can't than anybody in the game. And he's complaining he thought he had a face mask call, whether it was or not. I think the ball was...
I think it was good coverage, too. They threw it up hoping that Chandler would go up and make a good play. He had jumping ability. He's got that leaping ability. They need some big plays from their big play people.
3rd and 11. Here's a big play almost by Bob Baumauer. Now a throw on the run. Incomplete. And it brings up 4th down and 11 for the Chargers at their 49-yard line. 11:48 to play in the game, and Miami leading 34-13.
They've got to go for it. You can see here's a guy that's sitting there 3 touchdowns behind in the middle of the 4th quarter, and he's trying to pump up his group. Now, how many of you seen with drooping heads at this point? He's had a tough day. He's been fooled throughout most of it. But if there was ever a more game quarterback, I haven't seen him.
Indeed, they are going to go for it now. 4th down and 11 for the Chargers. A long 11. Strike, 1st down. Eric Sievers comes down with the ball at the 35-yard line of Miami. Needed 11, they got 17.
That's a beautiful throw. It's a double wing formation. They spread the zone out. Fouts did get enough pass protection that time to allow Seaver to get in between the 5-back situation. Kozlowski's been very active in there, Grace, and he's a pretty tough man to beat.
He is, and talking with Bill Arnsparger during the week, he says if you analyze their offense, they'll catch the ball in the middle of the field as he is right there or on the numbers. They do a great job of spreading the zone, throwing the ball to the numbers or the middle of the field.
Mounts looking for Joyner. Very nearly intercepted by Don McNeil.
Those two guys had a collision.
They really did. The Dolphin defenders converging on the man the ball was going to. Charlie Joyner ran right into each other. Lyle Blackwood and Don McNeil.
Ron, Bob, you've said it so many times today that Miami plays a zone defense, but they play it different than anybody else in the game. They play situations, and they get after the man that's a primary receiver. Here's a perfect illustration. McNeil thinks the ball's his. Glenwood thinks it's his. The only guy that never touched it was number 18.
They've been more aggressive, and that was a good aggressive play by the secondary of the Dolphins. You've got to give them credit. They're covering these guys. Bounce is putting the ball on the money, but they're knocking them down.
A diving interception by Glenn Blackwood. The Dolphins have taken the ball back. 3 interceptions of Fouts, and that one stops the drive with 10:54 left to play.
Great defense. Glenn Blackwood's having the ball out there. Bob, I don't know how you feel, but I haven't seen anybody else play Dan Fouts as effectively.
Well, I think it's tough. He has all the pressure on him. He has to have a good day for San Diego to win. Houston a few years ago in the playoffs, he didn't, and they lost. He's having a tough time today.
Coach Arnsparger is going to see some game balls passed out among his defenders, and one of them is surely going to go to Glenn Blackwood, who's made big plays all day, including 2 interceptions. Gerald Small had the third. On first down and 10, the Dolphins looking to run the clock. Go to Andrew Franklin. Everybody on the Charger defense hitting at him and the ball, trying to get it back with 10:43 left to play. The Dolphins have felt the sting of their failure in the playoffs. 9 years before they'd won a playoff game until last Sunday here at the Orange Bowl when they beat New England. Prior to that, their previous playoff victory was in the Super Bowl, the day Greasy and friends beat Minnesota 24-7.
How sweet that was. I know you had trouble remembering that.
Dolphins go to the run. Not from an emotional standpoint and a physical makeup of the team. Is there much similarity between the current Dolphins and those great teams you played on in the 70s?
Well, I think the similarity is there because the head coach is still there. It's his system. It's his philosophy. Not everybody that comes to the Miami Dolphins stays there. They're not always happy. But if you have the same philosophy he does, he'll mold you. If you can't play for some other people, you might be able to play for Shula because he can bring out the best in your ability. A la David Woodley. He asked him to do what he does best. He doesn't ask him to do things that he can't do very well. He does that with all 45 men on the roster.
Miami continues to power the ball, getting a lot of running yards in. Andrew Franklin has now run for over 90 yards from scrimmage, and Tony Nathan has 77 yards.
Don, some might say that hey, you're going to have to keep the ball away from the San Diego offense. You don't have to right now because these fellas are winning at the line of scrimmage. If they don't do something stupid, the curtains are closed as far as the visitors are concerned, and I don't see them putting the ball up in the air anymore right now.
The key to the Dolphins today is the fact that they've been able to get their running game going. They've controlled the ball. They've been able to throw when they want to, and that's when they play best.
First down and 10. 8:40 to play and the clock running. Woodley somehow gets away and throws it to Duriel Harris, who was on the sideline, out of bounds. He wasn't in play. They did a good job eluding the sack.
They've got a flag down there somewhere too, Don, and I'm surprised there wasn't in the backfield thrown one because I thought Woodley threw it away, but it looks like he may get a penalty. Look at Cliff Thrift. We mentioned they've got to find a way to get to Woodley. I think it's too little too late.
Holding number 29, Defense, automatic first down.
So the Dolphins get 4 new downs to work with 8:31 left to play. Mike Williams called. Don Coryell's team has also known playoff criticism. Choke label, someone hung on the San Diego team. They certainly showed their stuff last week, winning at Pittsburgh from 2 11-point deficits. They came back.
That's so much for those labels. That's a bunch of baloney.
Back to the run, and Tony Nathan takes it ahead. Cliff Thrift knocked him down. The form chart strongly indicating here, John, the Jets and the Dolphins next Sunday for the American Conference Championship here on NBC. They've already played twice this year. Opening day at Shea Stadium, Miami went to New York with a lot of trick plays and embarrassed the Jets. The Jets waited for the rematch. It was here at the Orange Bowl in December, and went right down to a last-second kick by Uwe van Schamme that won it for Miami. So after a lack of success against the Jets in recent years, Miami's won 2 previous meetings. The last one was one of the best games of the year. 2nd and 4. Andrew Franklin runs again, holding on to the ball very well today. And time ticking out for Coach Coryell and his Chargers. 7.5 minutes to go, and Miami continues to lead 34-13.
They've had the ball for 4.5 minutes. They've only moved it 25 yards, but this is what they're intending to do. If they're big offensive bullbacks, as you call them, and keep picking up those first downs with 3 tries at it, this game's history.
Yardage is not so important to him now as taking seconds off the clock.
3rd down and 2 for Miami. Vigorito gets the call and runs it close to the 40 and close to a first down. Looks like he has it with his spotting the ball. College basketball's back next Saturday on NBC Sports, featuring the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame at Cole Fieldhouse to take on the Maryland Terrapins, while Patrick Ewing and the Georgetown Hoyas will be in Providence to meet the Friars in a Big East matchup. Check your local listings for the game and time in your area on the home of great college basketball, NBC Sports.
28 first down. Is that enough for one afternoon? Talk about being able to do what you want. They're doing it.
Dolphins on offense have been a load. They've been a bear the last 3 weeks. Ate up Baltimore, just ran through them. A lot of teams did, though, but not towards the end of the season.
You were talking about the Jets and their matchup. The Jets are starting to play that defense that they were so known for early in the year.
6 minutes to go in running. 23 carries now for Andrew Franklin for 96 yards. Like all the good fullbacks, the more he gets it, the more he likes it.
You know, sitting up here and watching the Dolphins move the ball with a big lead and the clock running down reminds me of the championship years when Don Shula was having guys like Zonka and Kick and Mercury Morris eat up the clock, moving the ball down. I think the big change in the last couple of weeks, aside from Woodley, is Tony Nathan has come back and has played very well.
He really has played well. That's Tony Nathan right now, the 2nd down and 4 carry, getting the ball out close to the 47-yard line. Bob, how do you see a 3rd Jet-Dolphin matchup?
I think it'd be a classic. It would be a game unto itself. You know, John, and you know, when you play teams within your division, you go back and watch all the game films and see what you do. Certain plays that you see the Dolphins running here you wouldn't see against the Jets, and yet certain plays that the Jets didn't see in this game, they know they're going to get because they always get them against the Dolphins, and that works both ways.
And they match up to where both teams know they have a tough game to play, but they both seem to play offensive football very well against one another, and I think it'll be a barn burner.
That win at Los Angeles yesterday injected the Jets with a tremendous amount of confidence, which I guess they had going out there, but they know how good they are, and so does Miami.
Hey, it's been a long afternoon for the linebackers on the San Diego Charger football team because the people in front of them are being beaten. When that happens, the linebacker has a tough day, and number 59's had one of the toughest. Been in on a lot of tackles, but most of them about 4 or 5 yards down from the line of scrimmage.
Every area of the Dolphin game has been excellent today. Special teams were wrapping the ball free, you remember earlier. Consecutive kickoffs were fumbled due to the hard hitting of Miami's coverage. Dolphins turning those 3 first-half turnovers by San Diego into points to take command of the game. At one point they led 24-0. At halftime it was 24-13. Now it is 34-13. Dolphin defense shutting out the high-scoring Chargers here in the second half. More special teams play. Again, it was Langford, the rookie defensive back number 44, making the play with 3:36 left to go in the game. We'll return for the conclusion at the Orange Bowl right after this. 3:36 left to go. Don Quickie with John Brody and Bob Greasy back at the Orange Bowl in Miami. Byron Day of NBC Sports is also here, and we'll be talking to some of these winning Dolphins when the gun sounds. 3:36 to play in Miami, in the lead 34-13. Fouts still trying, still hoping, and very nearly another interception. Rodzinski making a play on the ball. Intended receiver was Pete Holohan. They've had to go to the backup tight ends because Winslow has been slowed with an ankle problem.
You know, I think the certainty that Dan Fouts plays with week in and week out is what stands out above most quarterbacks, and certainly he's been dynamite over the last 4 years. But today I think I've seen him have to go to his second, third, even fourth receiver more than I've seen him do in the last 3 years.
Dolphins come with a 3-man rush. Keeping 8 back to defend. Here's an interception by Don McNeil. Inside the 20. And Don McNeil's down to the 15-yard line, but they'll get some more. There's going to be a personal foul called against San Diego on the tackle. Somebody went right for his head. So the Dolphins do it again, and Miami all season long has not allowed any receiver to gain 100 yards catching the ball.
You know, before the game, during the week, Kellen Winslow gave credit to the defense of the Miami Dolphins, but he says they haven't played an offense as strong as ours. And I think today they've proven beyond any doubt that they deserve to be the #1 defense in the National Football League.
Well, they are. It doesn't matter whether they deserve it or not. They're just better at this given time. There are people that can lay claim to that title, but they've held people to fewer yards and less points. And they've been coming up with great plays like this all season long. And when you play a guy like Fouts and Winslow and Muncy and Chandler, and they get 13 points, you're playing some kind of defense.
6 turnovers now for San Diego. Superman couldn't dig himself out of that. And the Chargers are unable to also with 3:18 left to go. Miami continues to lead 34-13. Back to the Orange Bowl after this word. They've come back to the Orange Bowl to watch the Don Shula Dolphins in the rematch against Don Coryell and the San Diego Chargers, and they got more than they hoped to see, did the Miami fans, as the Dolphins are leading 34-13 with 3:18 left to play in the game. Cephalo on the right flank. First down. The run is stopped at the 8-yard line by Cliff Thrift, but that's fine with the Dolphins as long as the clock keeps ticking. You know, after the strike, Bob Greasy, the Dolphins weren't a very effective offensive football team. Now all of a sudden, last 3 weeks, they seem to have the complete offensive game back, better than it's been in some years.
Their defense has played well all year, and that's what really kept them in a lot of ball games. And I think now with Woodley playing so well as he is, and with Nathan coming back and playing well, I think with Shula's confidence in Woodley, they're on a roll, and they'll be a tough team to beat.
The sun is really shining now at the Orange Bowl as the Dolphin fans, after a long wait from their last championship, certainly are a team that's going to contend to win another Super Bowl this season. They're leading right now the San Diego Chargers 34-13 with 3:05 left to play in the game, and the Dolphins are threatening, but kind of quietly they're running the clock too as they run the ball. Woody Bennett hits ahead, second down and goal from the 9-yard line. Gary Johnson made the knockdown. You see the dominance of the Dolphins illustrated on the stat board. Time of possession, it's been a one-way street.
Just exactly the way the Dolphins would have written the script if they could have. Don Shula wanting to control the ball, get his running game going, throw when he wants to throw, and that's the way it's worked out.
Dan Fouts Jets versus David Woodley. Woodley having a third consecutive great game. He was the last rated passer in the American Conference through 8 games. But then in the regular season finale against Baltimore, in the playoff game against New England, and today against the San Diego Chargers, he's been only great. Can he keep it going?
Well, confidence plays so much of a part in any quarterback, but in particular a young quarterback, and he certainly is on the same wavelength with Don Shula now. They're on a roll, and it just depends on how well he plays as to how far they can go.
Well, when you get into the championship games, fellas, you know that all the quarterbacks are playing well, all the defenses are playing well. It's any given day the ball is shaped the way it is because these teams are great. Both sides can win.
Two red-hot teams ready to meet for the American Conference Championship next Sunday here at the Orange Bowl. The Jets and the Dolphins. The Dolphins might not be done yet today with 2:45 to play and a 34-13 lead. Down close with 4th down coming up. Miami going to signal for a timeout. Coach Shula has been in this game a long time. I doubt if he's a guy that'll throw the ball at this point, try to put up more.
I think what he'll do is run it on 4th down. It's the safest way to go.
Chargers had a big year, but it ends today.
Don, just take a look. If they kick a field goal, we're not saying they're in the game. We're not saying they could win it. But about the only thing that could happen to them is to give a field goal try, have it blocked, and have somebody run it in, then get an onside kick, you know, and stranger things have happened. I'll be surprised if he doesn't just run it out.
I've been around him too long, John, and I think you know him too. I'd be very surprised if he went for a field goal.
There's always another day. Dolphins remember the Chargers here at the Orange Bowl as vividly as they ever remember any opponent, because coming in, San Diego had won the last 3 times the two teams had played, all in the Orange Bowl and all in the last play of the game. They need a 22-point last play here to get back in this.
The string has run out. And it wasn't because San Diego played poorly. Now, people will sit and say, when has Fouts had a day like this? But, Bob, you and I both know a lot of days are totally dependent on how your team works against another team's defense. And in my opinion, they were just outcoached defensively today because these guys were great.
The Dolphin defense played very well, and their offense kept Dan Fouts and their offense off the field.
Woody Bennett turning wide. Jim Fox comes up to make the knockdown on 4th down at the 5-yard line. So at the outset, the question was presented. Will the best offense be able to stand up against the best defense? Right now, let's go to Len Berman in New York. The Chargers have the ball perhaps for the last time. Fouts into his end zone. Here's the rush. There's the throw, a completion. Pete Holohan, a second-year tight end out of Notre Dame, the 3rd tight end for San Diego, makes the reception out at the 13-yard line. And the Chargers quickly go into alignment without a huddle. 2:20 left to go. Halftime, it was 27-13. And the Chargers' high-scoring offense has been shut out in the second half. Bo Camper leads the sack team. The 3rd sack of Dan Fouts in the game.
How good has A.J. Dewey played today? When a linebacker's made himself as obvious as he has, you know he's having a great day.
They never know who to block with the way he comes.
Well, look, they play in a lot of games, and we mentioned defensively we think they're the winner. It certainly looks evident to me.
Bo Camper and Dewey combine on the sack. 2 minutes to play, and now here comes another of those fantastic finishes. 2 minutes left to play in this rematch of what was a classic. This year was a Miami Dolphin classic. The Dolphins dominating throughout. And now they lead 34-13 with 2 minutes left to go in the game, and Dan Fouts dropping to throw on 3rd and 10. Out to Muncy. Turning upfield, Muncy gets ahead and stays in bounds at the 19-yard line, so the clock continues to wind down. As you see, Bob Brzezinski was on the tackle along with Don McNeil. First and 10, and here comes Fouts. Chuck Muncie again bails out and stops the clock with 1:31 to play. So the American Football Conference Championship game, a minute and a half from being official, but in truth it is official now. The Jets and the Dolphins. Starting with NFL 82 at 12:30 p.m. Eastern Time, and then the third meeting of this season between two arch rivals from the American Conference East, the Jets and the Miami Dolphins. Followed at 4:30 by the final round coverage of the Bob Hope Desert Classic from La Quinta in Palm Springs, California. All next Sunday here on NBC Sports is Dan Fouts on 2nd down and 6. Lets a home run ball go. Lyle Blackwood gets one. Glenn got two, so Lyle gets one. He's going to run out the clock. Part of it. 5 interceptions of Dan Fouts today by the Miami defense, which led the National Football League in interceptions, coming in with 19.
Don, they just took away their timing patterns. All their timing was destroyed. Great defensive play by Miami all day long, and that's why the scoreboard's where it is.
And we'll be back to the Orange Bowl after this. A picturesque setting on Biscayne Bay, inland the Orange Bowl, a famed football stadium and the home of the Dolphins since they came into the National Football League in 1966. Actually, it was the American Football League then. Jim Jensen's in to run the clock out. Do the genuflect play.
I was going to say, that must give you a real feeling of contribution.
Well, it's PT playing time. The coordinating producer of NBC's NFL football is Ted Nathanson. The telecast of today's game has been produced by Larry Cirillo. Directed by Harry Coyle. Replay producer Peter Rolfe. Technical director Steve Semino. Associate director Joe Michaels. Associate producer Michael Hadley. And our thanks to our help in the booth, NBC statistician Steve Dans, to Mike Horvath and Harry Van Suskel and Terry Brumfield. 32 seconds and running, and the Dolphins doing the countdown now as they head to the American Conference Championship game against the New York Jets next Sunday, right here in the Orange Bowl on NBC Sports, starting with the pregame at 12:30 Eastern Time. Coach Coryell and his Chargers had a big year, but today it was a Miami Dolphin day. They'd waited for a year for the rematch, just hoped they'd get to play San Diego again. Coach Shula and the Dolphins said, "We got our wish, now it's up to us." And what a display they put on. The Miami Dolphins with an array of power football and throwing football and great defense win decisively 34-13. We'll be meeting some of those victorious Dolphins very shortly when we come back to the Orange Bowl here in Miami. Dan Fouts, the #1 passer in the National Football League, but today the Interceptors of Miami were there to get him. A great defensive effort. And now let's go to...
Introducing the starting lineup for the Utah Jazz. At forward, 6'10", 2 years.